This is Officer Dan and friends back at you with another Gktech how-to. This time we're tackling our axle spacers. These smallish UFO discs come in a non-black package which we are currently wiggling right in front of your very face. Unwrapping these little dudes shows us our CNC billet machined amazingness with all of the recesses to make this thing up perfectly on the inside of your own wheel bearing, which obviously we'll be showing here in a moment. Now why on earth would you want these? Well, you may be running a non-standard diff and or axle combo, you may have a super slammed car, or most commonly if you're using a dual caliper bracket such as this one right here, the hub gets spaced out leaving you with less hub engagement and can be a point of failure that you don't need in your life. Man, I know those feels, dump truck dude. Anyway, we have many flavors for you to choose from, and they fit all SR, Z33, 350Z, V35, and G35 chassis. Hot damn. We have a separate model for those of you rocking GTRs or Z32 twin turbo axles. So, make your time and choose the correct version for your setup and wheel bearing combo. Now size-wise, these also come in 5, 10, and 15 millimeters, which we'll explain how to pick shortly. Enough gabbing, it's install time. First things first, jack your whip up and safely let it down onto some ramps or blocks. We want to measure with the suspension loaded. Now unbolt your axles from the diff flange and make sure the axle itself is casual and relaxed while sitting as horizontal as possible. This is its longest length. Now measure the gap you have, in our case, 10 millimeters. Now we're going to head over to the faithful metal top surface we call bench, and, for instance, we have a base gap of 10 millimeters and we want to run this dual caliper bracket, which comes in at 7 millimeters as shown right here on the screen. Using science, this means we have 17 millimeters of overall gap once the dual caliper bracket is fitted, which then means we would get the 15 millimeter axle spacer, as that is the closest to what we need. Every setup is different and there are many factors that can come into play, so make sure to measure 4 times and buy once. You do want a couple of millimeters of wiggle room to keep the axles from binding, which is needed to compensate for bearing deflection during hard cornering and just fully osboing it around the track. My god, Freddy, have you seen that man's jawline? Anyway, you would now want to install the step side of the spacer to the rear side of the bearing, ensuring that it fits snug in its new home. Then, you would slide the axle gently through, flip the nut around, install the washer, and zap that nut down, torquing to the specs shown on the screen here. If you're using the 5mm spacer, you can probably skip this next step, but if you're using the largest ones, please don't skip this next step. Reason being is the axle will sit further back in the big boys, meaning you won't be able to fit the split pin, so mark the axle where the hole is, then the nut, with your favorite marking utensil. Remove the nut and toss it into a clamping device and notch that sucker on your marks, as you can clearly see on the screen here. Zap it back on, then re-torque again to these settings, shown right here on the screen. Pop the pin in, and spread those wings, baby. And my god, you're all sorts of properly spaced. Here we're showcasing 2 guys, 1 screen. All of the fun with half of the disgusting. So go subscribe. If you can't install these, please have a pro do it and reach out here with any questions. This has been Officer Dan, Johnny Caps, and Torque Arm Zach with another Gktech how-to. Peace.